studio. It is Whit Hughes, former administrator of the Baptist Health Foundation, Baptist Health Systems. Good morning, Whit. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Paul. Good morning to you. And
how's the shoe leather?
Yeah, it's wearing out right now. It's I've the interesting part of this race is that because of the timing of the way things have unfolded, you really I got in the race about 12 weeks ago. And looking at about a 4 or 4.5 month time frame, and that's just not a lot of time. So it's pretty intense out there, and I made it clear when I got in this race 12 weeks ago that I was going to run a campaign that involved all 24 counties in this district, and I'm very proud to have grassroots political organization in all 24
Is this your first campaign?
It is. I've never run for office before. I've been involved in a lot of conservative politics around the country, and in this state as well. But I have not run for office before.
When you look at this because I was there as a young guy deciding to run, and I mean it's a heck of a decision. I mean it turns your life upside down. It will require you, in that particular time, as is now, if you happen to be in this profession, you have to take a leave of absence. You cannot, you can't be on the air and do that too. And then that's the case in some other different types of profession. But when that is said, it's a commitment of time, it's a commitment of dollars, and is that one of the toughest things to find out, how much money you can raise?
Well, this is a big decision, Paul. My wife, Shelley, and I know exactly what it takes to run a successful campaign.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, we know what life is like if you serve in a position like this. So it's not a decision that you make lightly. I tell people that I'm serious about it. Obviously, I'm married. I have 3 children.
How old are they?
15 and 13-year-old sons and a 10-year-old daughter.
Well, it's going to be a big change for them. They're not going to be moving to Washington, but still back and forth. Dad's going to be on the road a lot.
That's right. And I've resigned from a great job with a great organization to do this. But I'm serious about it, and I'll tell you why. We really view this as answering a call to service. From a faith standpoint, we feel led in this direction. We feel prepared for this, and we feel like I'm the best person for the job. So you reach a point in life where it's important to jump in there and get after it.
Your qualifications, when you say you're the best person, what do you have that the others don't?
Well, my background and experience has to do with conservative politics on all levels. I spent some time helping run the Republican Eagles program at the RNC, electing conservatives around the country, doing other things like being finance director for Senator Elizabeth Dole in North Carolina. Shelley and I moved back home to Madison in 2003 to help Haley Barbour when he first ran for governor. I've gone on to get economic development experience on behalf of the state. I was deputy director of Mississippi Development Authority. I've owned and operated my own consulting business. In recent years, I've gotten good healthcare experience as the chief development officer of Baptist Health Systems. And Paul, it's interesting. As I mentioned, I've been in the race for 12 weeks. I've campaigned in all 24 counties. Thousands of conversations with voters at this point, and they're focused on. I've talked about every topic under the sun, but folks are focused on more jobs, stronger economy, having a leader who understands economic development, and more importantly, folks want a strong leader with some backbone, somebody that values principles over politics, and somebody that will dig in and engage in the process and drive the kind of conservative legislation that aligns with our Mississippi priorities.
Yeah. You get in Washington, and sometimes you look at it and say, I'm one of 435. Can I make a difference for the state of Mississippi? And I don't think that's the attitude to have. You do everything you possibly can. Like any job, you take it and you go as fast and as far as you can, because the more important you become and the more noise you make sometimes, the more power you get.
Well, Paul, I'm obviously not a career politician that's doing this to climb the ladder. I'm doing this because I care. I'm doing this for the right reasons. And you're right, it'd be disingenuous to say that you can go up there as one of 435 and move the needle overnight. But I know that we need good people involved in the process and helping drive conservative legislation that aligns with our priorities and our values here in Mississippi. And I tell you, I'm going to consider one of my number one priorities is focusing on jobs and helping create the kind of environment that employers appreciate.
Whit Hughes, do you think seniority is a part of this? In other words, and I commend Congressman Harper for saying I've had enough of it and that's it. I didn't plan on staying here that long. And some people say it's a little bit different in the House than it is in the Senate, but your thoughts about term limits or staying to build up seniority?
Well, historically speaking, I think pound for pound, that's Mississippi's done well with our congressional delegation. I do think Voters are looking for somebody that fits my profile as a candidate.
In it for the long haul.
A young person that can go up there for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
Develop some seniority with the right committee assignments, develop those relationships, develop the know-how in terms of how to drive legislation on Capitol Hill. And I'm of the opinion, Paul, that we have term limits. I mean, every 2 years, at least on the House side, voters have an opportunity to decide whether they want to renew your contract or not.
Well, and that's a tough thing. Every 2 years, you're all in campaign mode.
Well, that's right. And folks have asked
Wonder
me
if the founding fathers had a chance to change that. Would they have changed it?
Well, I can't speak to that, but I can tell you that it's one of the things that you have to contemplate when you enter a race like this.
Yeah.
Is the challenges related to that cycle, because every 2 years it's a grind. You're either on the ballot, or you were just on the ballot, or you're about to be on the ballot.
I have a question here. Maybe you can answer, coming from that background as far as a former administrator for the Baptist Health Foundation and the Baptist Health Systems. For so many years, for 8 years during the Obama administration, certainly a little bit less than that when they finally passed Obamacare, we always wondered why the Republicans didn't come out with something, and in putting a little marketing hat on here, brand it as whatever the cute name you wanted to put on it, America Care, whatever it happened to be, and just had the bullet points of this thing, and at least gave people an option, because by the time year 1 and year 2 and 4 and 5 and 6 passed, we would have had something out there. But we one of the problems, I think, and hopefully it doesn't catch up with us in the midterms, is I think people understand that we didn't do it. We didn't repeal and replace it. We still have a problem with it. We're still in the tentative stage of that. And why in the world didn't the Republicans do this?
Well, I would suggest, Paul, that our healthcare system was broken before Obamacare. Obamacare made it worse. I'm certainly glad to see that the individual mandate is leaving us as part of the tax reform package.
Well, that's just going to make it clap or cave in faster.
Well, constitutionally speaking, I just will never understand how the federal government can mandate that an individual citizen can do anything. But a lot of the discussion on healthcare in recent months and years has been about accessibility. I really think we need to focus on certainly accessibility, but also affordability as well.
Your thought process on a couple of other things when we come back. Whit Hughes, we will have some other sound bites on the other side of the hour, so hang on for that. More coming up. Whit Hughes, former administrator for the Baptist. I say former because you said you have resigned and are all in here. You went to how many counties in 24 hours?
2 weeks ago, my wife Shelley and I campaigned in all 24 counties in 48 hours. So, they say this district goes from Natchez to Starkville.
Yeah.
And we covered it all in 2 days. We started with a lunch in Natchez and finished up with some meetings and a baseball game at the new Duty Domal Field and Starkville. And that's really reflective of where we are in this race, Paul. For the first 60 days, I traveled around all 24 counties, helping people learn more about me and why I'm running. And now we've shifted the dialogue to more about what I'm for and what I'll do representing this district in Congress. And, what better way to get in front of voters than just to get out there and go see them. That's a lot has changed in politics in terms of technology and sophistication, but there will never be a substitute for going and knocking on people's doors and looking them in the eye and talking to them about the issues.
I do want to mention this, that a lot of folks may not know you, even though you made the 24 stops. You couldn't meet everybody. Whit Hughes, a little bit about you, where you came from, where you went to school.
Sure. My wife and I are both from Jackson, started dating the spring of our senior year of high school. We both graduated from Mississippi State. I got undergraduate and graduate degrees there while playing baseball and basketball. Mm-hmm. A lot of people remember me from those days. I played 2 years of baseball and 5 years of basketball there. And we've been married for 20 years.
Wait, back up. Any titles during that period of time?
Well, oddly enough, as soon as I stopped playing baseball, they went to Omaha
for the World
Series 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate to be on a couple of really good basketball teams at State. In '95, we made it to the Sweet 16 and got beat by UCLA, who won the title that year. And then, of course, a lot of great memories from '96 when we made the run to the Final Four. And, Paul, when I first got in this race, over the course of about the first 2.5 weeks, I went to all 24 counties and really did focus on trying to earn media, right? That's what you do at the beginning of political campaigns. You want to go out there and drive as much media as possible, and did a lot of interviews. But about 50% of the time, the first question in the interviews was, "Tell us about the Final Four in 1996." So I've been talking as much basketball as I have politics, and a lot of that probably has to do with how well MSU's women's team has been doing.
Well, and you talk about the women's team. I mean, the notoriety. I think they've changed the whole face of women's sports as far as basketball is concerned.
Absolutely. Paul, when I was at Mississippi State, if you had 500 people at a women's game, it was a big deal. And it's grown over the course of time. And Coach Schaefer and what he's done with that program is just remarkable. I mean, if you had told me that I would ever see people scalping tickets outside of an MSU women's game, I probably would have called you crazy. But I'm telling you, that atmosphere there is special, and I'm not saying special for women's basketball. I'm just saying special for college basketball.
Well, and if you would have told me that the women's playoff in the Final Four was more attractive than the men's and garnered more attention, people would have thought you were crazy then. But one of the great things about that, and we'll get back to politics, is that it opens the door for a lot of these kids, these young ladies in school, and middle school and even high school, playing basketball, saying, "Hey, this is what I could achieve." It's not going into a black hole somewhere. Look at what the future lies there. So
that's right.
They can put those talents to use. All right, military, your thoughts?
Well, that obviously has to be a priority, is supporting the military and our veterans. We have to give them the tools and the resources necessary for them to successfully fulfill their missions and return home safely. I will tell you, in representing this district in Congress, that has to be a consistent priority. Certainly had a lot of discussions out on the campaign trail in terms of BRAC, base realignment and closure, and serving in this role in Congress, how you have to be a part of being prepared for the next round of BRAC. Have a lot of discussions about the National Guard. If you look at this 3rd district, I believe I'm correct in saying it's the biggest Guard footprint in the state in terms of numbers. And the Army and Air Guard receives about $600 million a year from the federal government. So we have to continue to make sure that the Guard's priorities are taken care of and receive attention, and that they have the resources they need on an annual basis.
You have kind of a game plan of what you want to do, what committees that you would like to serve on?
Well, look, I'm not going to tap dance around that question. I think it'd be awfully presumptuous to start talking about committee assignments.
But if it happens.
Well, I think if you go out and you talk to voters in all 24 counties, there are some committees that are reflective of what's important in this district, whether you're talking about ag and natural resources, military and veterans, appropriations, energy and commerce. There are some natural fits along those lines. And I've gotten asked, about the, what's going on with the speaker position in the House.
That was my next question.
And my attitude about that is that I'll answer it this way. There's no better poll or survey than talking to a candidate who's been everywhere and talked to people. And what folks are focused on is having somebody with character and integrity, somebody with some backbone that values principles over politics, somebody that is willing to drive legislation, conservative legislation that's focused on jobs and the economy. And I believe that's the kind of representative people want for this 3rd district, and that'd be the kind of Speaker of the House that I would want to support.
Well, the horse before the cart too, because the cart before the horse. Cart before the horse. This is another one of those things. I can't get. I've got a bad dyslexia. We started off this morning with a mulligan having to be used a lot earlier. But when you got to wind it back, first of all, you got to retain power in the House before this happens. I know people are talking about Kevin McCarthy. People are talking about Steve Scalise, and there are a couple of other folks who are being rumored out there. But there's a big turnover in the House of Representatives, and who knows what's going to happen?
Well, that's right. Who knows what the future holds? But candidly, I'm focused on my game plan. I'm focused on this race, and I got to get there first. Yeah. And I'm working my tail off to do just that.
What's next? Where's your next appearance?
Well, this is an interesting week, Paul. We have a forum every day this week.
Every day.
We had a very nice opportunity through the Oktibbeha GOP last night to have a candidate forum in Starkville. We have a candidate forum here in Madison tonight, and we have the AFP debate here in Jackson on Wednesday night, and then I believe there's a Farm Bureau forum on Thursday, and so the week will unfold that way. But listen, I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to all these opportunities. I believe voters need such opportunities to hear directly from candidates because they want to determine who's best for the job and who's best for the position.
6 o'clock till 8 o'clock, congressional debate on several of these stations across the state on the Super Talk stations. It'll be, I think, Russ Latino's doing that one, and it's tomorrow night. And that is where?
It's going to be at the
Civil Rights Museum.
That's right. That's correct. Should be a great venue, and hopefully you can hold off Russ on some of the Red Bull.
All of it. That's impossible. He'll have that squirreled away in his coat or somewhere. But all the candidates going to be there, as far as you know.
They will be all the candidates in the Republican primary.
And there are several of these events coming up before the election itself. And as a matter of fact, I think we're doing one coming up at the end of next month over in Brandon, Mississippi, somewhere there. So I'm looking forward to that.
Should be a lot of those opportunities all over the district. And we need to be out there talking about issues like taxes and spending. I mean, our debt right now, Paul, is $21 trillion. 10 years ago, when Obama got elected, it was around $10 million. The numbers keep going up. I mean, this is not sustainable. Anybody that has a family or has been involved in a business knows that you can't keep spending more money than you take in. And so folks want to hear from all the candidates on issues like that.
Well, and also with your expertise in the health industry, hopefully something will come up. And there was talk about a possibility of another run at Obamacare, but with Paul Ryan deciding to leave, who knows what's going to happen there. We'll see.
We'll see. Right now I'm talking a lot about policy priorities like jobs and economy and lower taxes, fewer regulations, immigration and securing the border, supporting the military and veterans. And Paul, I'm talking about how I'm going to fight for every community and every county in this district. And I'm just looking forward to the weeks ahead. June 5th is the primary. We're about 50 days out, so we're got to get out there and hustle.
Whit, thank you, man. Appreciate it for spending the time with us. We got more sound bites coming up on some other things, so hang on. More next.